Okay, I'm back with another video in this series where I'm working on a third-person game in Unreal using C++. Um, I've had a couple of very busy weeks, so um, I haven't touched this as much as I would like to. Um, but I do, even when I've had a tough couple weeks, I force myself to get on here at least once a week and accomplish something. So today I'm going to try to fix up a couple of issues. I've got a number of issues that I've let sort of creep in as I try to get to this, as I try to get to as quickly as possible to this point where I have a sort of a full, uh, loop of joining and dying and respawning in place. I've let several bugs get in and sort of ignored them, and I think the bill has come due. I really need to fix some of these. So one of these is going to be easy to fix, and that is on the client. Last week I broke the health bar. You can see there at the top left it's at 50%, which is the default, and that's happening because the HUD's basically not refreshing at all, and that is luckily a very quick fix. So last week in my animation instance class, in the tick method, I made a change in the update animation, which is effectively the tick. I was, um, grabbing the character on every frame and casting it, and I got rid of that. And instead, what I did is in the player controller, when you possess a pawn, I was setting that player character on the HUD component. The problem with this is this on possess method only fires on the server, and so my health HUD is still working correctly on the server, but on all of the clients it's broken because this method only fires on the server. So what I need to do is, based on my research, this acknowledge possession method is actually the one I need. And so I'm going to get rid of, actually I'm going to leave on possess because I'm probably going to use that for something else later. But for now, I'm going to create this acknowledge possession method, and I'm going to move this code into it. And I don't believe I'm going to need the check to make sure it's a local controller. So I'm going to just get rid of that and hook that up like that, and hopefully that is it. I'm gonna compile that and we'll see what happens. Okay, let me start this up. And now the bar is at 100%, and let me put two players on here and make sure that oh no, that is weird. So it's working, but it's working for the wrong. Wait a second. See what happens from the server. That actually works correctly. interesting. So it's only when I'm hmm, that's really weird. So I'm not even sure if that's an issue because I would never play that way, right? There would always be a server. It works fine when there's a server. Okay, well, I'm gonna assume that would be okay because, well, I'm not gonna assume it would be okay, but I am gonna ignore it for the moment. And I am gonna look at this next problem. So, on the server, I get the respawn dialog, but on the client, if the server, if I do it the other direction, when the client dies, he doesn't get a dialogue, and so I don't know for sure why that's not working, but I do want to rework the way it works anyway. So right now, this is happening directly on the client, this code, or directly in the character, and this is not really the way I want this to work. I just sort of threw it in here to get something going. I think what I'm going to do is create a delegate. Let me take a look back at my stats component just to, yeah, okay. Yeah, so if I create a public on health changed, let me call this on character dead, and okay, so when a character dies, it's not going to call that delegate, and what I'm going to do is in the player controller, I'm going to have create this method for when the character dies, and in that acknowledge possession, that same acknowledge possession method where I set up the HUD, I'm going to also actually okay. Grab the pawn. Cast it. Okay, so and it's telling me I need the uFunction macro for that, which makes sense. So there we go. And yeah, this whole thing can be made into an if statement, so I'll just let it go ahead and do that for me. There we go. And make it a constant. So now, when the player dies, this method is going to get called, and I'm going to grab all of this code. I don't need the player controller code anymore because I'm in the player controller. And I don't know that that's going to fix any of these problems, but I did want to go ahead and do that because I think that's a little bit better structure, and it'll help me out with another problem that I have in just a little bit. So I'm going to compile out and see at least what happens. Okay, done compiling. Let me see what happens here. If anything different happens. I don't think anything will, but yeah, okay, it doesn't. So it still doesn't show the HUD, but let me make sure it still works in the other direction. It does. That's good at least. So even though that doesn't actually, oh, interesting. That problem may be half fixed now. So even though it doesn't show the menu on the client, the respawn menu on the client, this is still this is a better structure. So I still have to figure that issue out, but I feel like I've got this code in a better structure now, and because it's in this better structure, there's something else that I think I can do, which will be a little bit better as well. On the respawn widget, I think I want to change the way this works as well. When these two buttons fire, so I knew all along that this is pretty questionable, because I don't know who the first player controller is in a multiplayer setup. So I had a hunch this was probably questionable, and I'm guessing it may be causing me some problems. So I do want to get rid of this, and what I want to do is the exact same thing I just did on the character, which is I want to add a couple of delegates here. So F on respawn signature, and I'll do one for exit as well. And so these are going to be public. Okay, and so on my player controller, let's see. Actually, I need to mark that virtual. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, void. Let's see, on respawn, and generate these two definitions, and let's see, in my respawn widget, I'm going to take the respawn and the exit, and obviously I'm going to have to fix these up because they're in a different place now, so I'll have to fix those up. And in these buttons, whoops, I should not have on exit game. Okay. Okay, so both of those now. Ow, I don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, so both of those are hooked up. So now if I go to my player controller, want is when I spawn the window. No. I need... This will be in the HUD, actually. Do I want to pass it all the way back to the player controller? That's a question. Let's see. Let me take a look at the HUD. Okay, so when I show the HUD, or not when I show the HUD, when I show the respawn window, okay. So I think I don't need to go all the way back to the player controller because I have a direct reference to it already. Yeah, so I'm thinking that might be enough. And there's my quick game. Copy that over. Okay, and then in my player controller, I don't actually need either one of these. So what does this respawn method do right now? Server respawn. And on server respawn. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if none of that works, but let me go ahead and see where I'm at. See if anything's changed at all. Okay. Don't imagine this will have fixed anything, but at least the structure's, I think, a little bit better now. still no menu. Now, if we go the other way. Uh-oh. The world's going on there. Okay, exit works. Respawn does not. Which does not surprise me, and I think that code's still a little bit squirrely. Let me check one more thing. Okay, so there's still a problem with my aiming cursor. If you see when I pull the weapon out on the server, you can see on the client the aiming reticle, which is definitely not cool. Let me take a quick look at that. So set the owner, and then I think I need to actually, can I override set owner? Let me think about this. I think let me think. I wonder. I wonder. Let me see what that does. Okay, let me see what that did. Huh. Okay. So that didn't fix it. I need a way to tell if the player controller is local. I think what I want to do is player. Let me see what that did. Still. Okay. Oh, well, it looked like it didn't actually save. Let me just double check. Yep, okay. If this doesn't do it, I'm not sure. I'll have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe it wasn't a wise idea to put the reticle on the weapon, and instead I should have just put it on the client, on the character. But we'll see. Okay. Still. That is really annoying. Yeah, thinking about it. Problem is, the weapon is spawned on the server. Actually, where can I see? Yeah. So this code executes on the server. And I think that's a problem. I think maybe I'm gonna have to remove that reticle from the weapon and do it a different way. I really wanted to put it on the weapon so that it was, well, I guess it doesn't matter. I can put it on the client, but I'll have to think about how I want to fix that some more. So for now, I'll just have to let that ride. Yeah, I'll have to think about how I want to do that. Okay, so let me come back to my respawn. So now going back to the HUD, and on the HUD, so quit is working just fine. Respawn is not. Player controller. Respawn. Calls server respawn. Yes, this seems kind of questionable. I'm gonna remove my server respawn. And just call see if that does anything. Probably not, but I think that code I had for the server was completely unnecessary. Okay. Still nothing. I think I'm gonna have to set some breakpoints. Exit works. You know what? Let's see. Actually, no. I'm gonna put this. No. Okay. Now let me fire up the debugger. Okay. So the debugger's launched. Okay. And we're in the player controller. Or, sorry, in the HUD. I'm gonna call respawn on the player controller. Sometimes I hate the way it steps in like that. 1 second, let me look at the player controller and set a breakpoint there. Interesting. So it calls server restart player, and which apparently just does nothing. And I'm guessing that might be because of the way I'm killing off the player. Let me see. me see what happens if I just destroy this guy. Let me see what I got now. Yes. Okay, so I'm not sure if I had it paused when I did that or not, but um, basically the problem was I had to destroy the original pawn before I could call server restart player. So in the respawn code, I just destroy the pawn that I'm controlling, and then I tell the server to restart, and that works perfect. So now all I need to do is I need to close the widget. I don't actually know what the method is to close the widget. Where do I launch this? I create widget, so I probably need to destroy the widget. Hiding it's probably not a very good idea. Destruct sounds good. What about this? It doesn't say anything. I'm thinking destruct. Okay. No, destruct does not work. Alright, I'll have to look this up real quick. Okay, I think the method I want is remove from parent. So I'm going to give that a shot real quick. Okay. No, that did not work. Get rid of these breakpoints. Don't really need them anymore. Okay, now it worked that time. Alright, so now interesting. Click it a second time, it goes away. What if I do this? Okay, now I have a method on the HUD. Alright, we'll give that a shot. That seems like a slightly better way to do that anyway. Okay. There we go. So that problem's fixed. So I fixed two problems, and I still have two problems. So one, I fixed the HUD on the client side, that's now working correctly. And two, I fixed respawning, at least on the server. So that's, oh, what the hell? Maybe I didn't fix that. Client are out of sync there, so that's another problem, and that's still not going away. Okay, so I'll have to fix that, but respawning is working on the server at least. The client, I need to figure out why the respawn menu doesn't show, but since I'm already at 50 minutes, I think I'll stop it here and I'll continue in the next video fixing those issues. So I guess that's it for today, so I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.